If I told you that thousands of elderly men could have avoided pain, suffering, surgeries, and even serious prostate problems with just a simple and completely natural habit, would you believe? It seems exaggeration, I know. But the truth is that many men spent decades listening that masturbation was wrong, dirty, forbidden. They grew up carrying guilt, shame, and misinformation. Today, unfortunately, they pay the price of this ignorance. Most have never heard of a doctor, a urologist. What science already confirms. Masturbation can be a powerful ally of male health, especially after 50. And the saddest? It's just that they only discover that too late, when problems have already begun to appear. And then the pain comes when urinating, sexual impotence, increased prostate, fear of cancer. All of this could have been softened, or even avoided, with more information and less prejudice. You who have more than 50 need to hear that, because these secrets that I am going to reveal here are not acheisms, they are not popular myths, they are medical discoveries that could have changed the lives of thousands of men. And they can change yours too. It doesn't matter if you are 55, 60, or 75 years. Your prostate can still be protected, and you can still recover health, self-esteem, and quality of life with simple attitudes, without depending on remedies or invasive surgeries. In this video, as a urologist with years of experience serving patients just like you, mature men, worried about prostate health, dealing with doubts about sexual performance, ejaculation, and disease prevention, I will open the game. I will show you the 5 secrets about masturbation that many seniors would like to have discovered before. Secrets that go beyond pleasure. They involve prevention, cleaning of the reproductive system, hormonal balance, and even reduced risk of prostate cancer. Have you noticed how certain subjects seem prohibited when we get older? It seems that after a certain age, no one else talks about sexuality, pleasure, masturbation. But the truth is that your body keeps working. And yes, it still needs care. And one of the simplest and most natural ways to take care of your prostate may be precisely in this habit that has been so repressed for years. The problem is that many men expect the symptom to appear to seek help, and then it can be late. So if you got here, don't make this mistake. What you will find out now can avoid poor sleep, embarrassment, expensive treatments, and the silent fear that many carry without talking to anyone. And if you think masturbation is a young thing, get ready. What I will show you can totally change your perception. By the way, before we continue, leave here in the comments. Have you ever heard that masturbation could hurt? Did you teach you this when you were young? Or to this day, do you feel blame for maintaining this habit? Your comment can help other men break free from this misinformation. Now holds firm, because in the next block I will reveal you the first secret, and he is a true watershed in prostate health. You will understand why so many experts have been talking about it, and why no one has ever told you before. And before I reveal this first secret, I need to ask you something important. If this content has made sense to you so far, if you have identified yourself, you remembered something you heard when you were younger, or realized you may be repeating the same mistakes, leave your comment down here. Write what you think about this topic. Were you taught that masturbation was bad? Have you ever felt guilty or fear because of that? Share your experience. This is not just about you. It is about creating a space for dialogue, where other men can also identify, learn, and break free. Believe me, your comment may be the incentive that another man needs to start taking care of his own health. And it is no exaggeration to say that this information can save lives. Many avoid going to the urologist, ignore symptoms, and let fear or shame shut up something that needs to be spoken. But here, you have a voice, and has information. And if you got here, it's because you care about your health. So, do the following now. Leave the like in this video. It helps YouTube understand that this content is important and needs to be shown to more people. The more men know this, the more lives we can transform. Also, enjoy and subscribe to the channel. Here every week I bring direct, science-based content without winding and without taboo, for you who want to grow old with dignity, health, and energy. Activates the bell, because in the next videos we will talk about other habits that affect your prostate, your sex life, and your overall well-being. Now yes, let's go to the first secret about masturbation that the elderly would like to have discovered before. And I already warn you, it's simple, but it can make a huge difference in your life. The great mistake that many older men have made, and unfortunately still being repeated to this day, begins in youth, when they heard for the first time masturbation was bad. Perhaps they have heard it indoors, a rigid father, a religious mother, an authoritarian teacher, or even within the church. Phrases like, "This is sin," "This will make you sick," "This is a thing of weak people," have been repeated, internalized, and charged for decades as absolute truths. And what was just a natural expression of the male body was transformed into guilt, shame, and repression. The result of this? Millions of men who spent much of their lives completely ignoring a habit that, contrary to what they always said, could be a true ally of prostate health. Yes, you heard it right. Masturbation, when done with conscience, respect for one's own body, and moderation, can help a lot to avoid problems that today affect thousands of men over the age of 50 today. And I know it may seem strange to hear this from a urologist, but it is precisely because I am a doctor that I feel obliged to tell you this truth that many avoid. What most did not realize, by pure prejudice, is that regular ejaculation through masturbation has a very important role in the healthy functioning of the prostate. When man remains for a long time without ejaculating, prostate liquid can be accumulated, thick, facilitating inflammatory processes, obstructions, and even infections. And no, this is not opinion, this is science. Several serious studies show that men who maintain an active sex life, even if alone, have less likely to develop benign prostatic hyperplasia, prostatitis, and even prostate cancer. But why was this never taught? Because the taboo always spoke louder, and that silence was expensive. Many elderly men today live with weak urine jets, constant pelvic pain, with nights interrupted by frequently going to the bathroom, not knowing that all this could have been prevented or softened with a simple habit, one that was unfairly condemned for so long. Most worrying is that even with all the information available, there is still resistance. There are those who think that masturbation after 60 is ridiculous, unnecessary, or teenage thing. And this misconception drives man away from his own sexuality, from connecting his body, and worse, removes him from practices that are natural and beneficial to his intimate health. If you are over 50, I need you to understand this clearly. Masturbation is not about futile pleasure. It is about physiological maintenance, about release secretions, maintaining hormonal balance, stimulating the circulation of the pelvic region, and avoiding accumulations that can become inflammation. And this is not an exaggeration. Modern science has already shown that the absence of frequent ejaculation is associated with an increased risk of prostatic diseases. We are not saying that man needs to masturbate every day, but that totally ignoring this aspect of intimate health can be a mistake with serious consequences. Did you know, for example, that men who ejaculate at least 21 times a month have a lower risk of developing prostate cancer? This data comes from a study by Harvard researchers, one of the most respected universities in the world. And why is this not stamped on news, offices, bar conversations? Because prejudice still speaks louder. So it is urgent that we talk about it, because the more time goes by, the harder it gets to recover from certain damage. The prostate is an extremely sensitive gland to factors such as age, diet, physical inactivity, but frequency of ejaculation. And when man spends years repressing this natural instinct, the effects begin to appear. Increased prostatic volume, difficulty urinating, ejaculating pain, erectile dysfunction, falling libido, and all this in silence, often without seeking help, because there is still a shame to talk about the topic. And here is a point that almost no one comments, but that is real. The male body continues to produce sperm even in old age. Prostatic fluid production does not stop with age. What happens is that, with less sexual activity or total absence of masturbation, this material is not eliminated, which can cause congestion, inflammation, and even pain. This is why so many elderly are surprised when they have an active sex life or become more frequently masturbating. They report improvement in well-being, pain relief, better sleep quality, and even less anxiety. But this is only possible when the guilt cycle is broken. When it is understood that taking care of the prostate is not just taking PSA test or going to the urologist once a year. It is also paying attention to your body, understanding your signs, and give it what you need to work well. And masturbating in this context is as important as eating well or walking. Unfortunately, many men will only learn it too late. They will hear this type of information when they are already diagnosed with advanced HPB or after a prostate biopsy, or when they are already using a probe to urinate. And at this point, regret hits. Why didn't I know that before? Why no one ever told me it was so important? You are still in time. And even if you already face some kind of problem, be aware that it is never too late to start taking care of your body with conscience. Masturbation, when practiced with respect and naturalness, is an act of self-care. There is nothing shameful about it. What is shameful is to continue perpetuating myths that only serve to keep men uninformed and sick. If you have gotten here, it is because you are open to listen. It is ready to leave behind everything they have taught you without any basis. And this is already a huge step. Now I want to know about you, and I will ask with all sincerity. Leave a comment below telling what you think about this topic. Have you heard phrases like, masturbation is bad? Do you feel it disturbed you throughout your life? Have you been through any health-related situation and think this information could have helped? He writes, sharing your experience can help other men who are reading, can open the eyes of those who still carry guilt, fear, or doubt. You can comment, for example, I've suffered from it and now I understand it better, or I was raised in fear of it but I'm freeing myself. And as I promised, now we are going to the point. Let's get into the 5 secrets that science has already revealed about masturbation, and that for some reason they never came to you clearly, objectively, and respectfully. And I want you to pay close attention to each of them, because these secrets may not only change their way of seeing masturbation, but also completely transforming the way you take care of your intimate health and prostate from now on. The first of these may be the most important, especially for those who are already facing symptoms such as discomfort when urinating, a full bladder sensation, or pain in the pelvic region. Masturbation helps clean the prostate. Yes, you heard right. When a man ejaculates, either through sexual intercourse or by masturbation, he is promoting the release of prostatic fluid that accumulates in the glands. This fluid, if stuck for a long time, can become thick, dense, and facilitate inflammatory processes. Not to mention that over time, accumulation can cause a sense of pressure in the pelvic region, discomfort, and even pain. The practice of regular masturbation, especially in older men, acts as a kind of natural maintenance of prostatic health, avoiding the accumulation of secretions that have not been released and may even be fertile ground for bacteria. This helps prevent problems such as prostatitis, which is a painful inflammation of the prostate and reaches a huge portion of the male population, especially after 50. The second secret you need to know is that masturbation improves circulation in the pelvic region. That's right. By stimulating the genital region, there is an increase in local blood flow, and this is not only important for erection, but also for the health of prostate, bladder, and the entire urinary tract tissues. Good blood circulation takes more oxygen to cells, helps combat inflammatory processes, and contributes to keeping tissues healthy and functioning properly. The problem is that many men, especially those who lead a sedentary life, end up suffering from poor circulation precisely in this area. They are sitting for a long time, do not do physical activity, and still fully repress their sexuality. The result is a blood stagnation in the pelvic region, which may favor not only prostatic problems, but also erectile and even hemorrhoid dysfunctions. When you masturbate with some regularity, you are literally activating circulation and helping your body to stay functional. And here comes the third secret, perhaps the most shocking for those who still believe that masturbation is wrong or harmful. Masturbating regularly can help reduce the risk of prostate cancer. I know this statement seems strong, but it is anchored in serious and respected research. The point here is that the more often the prostate is emptied in a natural way, the less chance that toxins and cancer substances remain accumulated in prostatic liquid. The logic is simple. An active, constantly flowing organ is less likely to develop dangerous cellular changes. This is similar to what happens to the lungs of those who do breathing exercises regularly, or with the heart of those who are physically active. Healthy functioning prevents diseases. Now think to me, how many older men do you know who live with this constant fear of prostate cancer? Worst of all, how many of them are still trapped in wrong concepts, thinking that masturbation can cause problems, when in fact, can be an ally in preventing one of the most common cancers among men? The fourth secret is linked to emotional and hormonal welfare. Many men do not realize that masturbation reduces stress and improves sleep, and that it directly impacts testosterone production and quality of life as a whole. When you masturbate, the body releases a series of hormones that promote a sense of relaxation, pleasure and emotional relief. Endorphin, dopamine, oxytocin. All of these neurotransmitters help combat tension, relieve anxiety symptoms, and even promote deeper and repairing sleep. And why is this important to the health of the prostate? Because chronic stress can increase inflammation in the body, unbalance the immune system, and affect hormone levels. Stressed men tend to have lower levels of testosterone, which affects libido, energy, mood, and of course sexual and prostatic health. Therefore, a masturbation made with conscience, without haste, without guilt, can be a true natural therapy. A moment of care, relief, and connection with one's own body that, in breach, still favors the hormonal balance. The fifth and last secret is perhaps the most neglected, but it is crucial. Masturbation helps identify abnormal signs in the body, such as pain during ejaculation, blood in semen, nodules, or any unusual sensation. And here is a point that few people speak. When man stops masturbating for long periods, he also moves away from his own body perception. He fails to notice subtle changes that could indicate serious problems. It is often during the act of masturbating that man realizes that something is not right. It may be a different pain, a change in sperm volume, a strange color, a light bleeding, and the sooner this is perceived, the sooner it can be investigated and treated. I have already attended many patients who only sought medical help because they noticed any changes when masturbating, and that, without exaggeration, saved lives. That's why I insist so much on breaking this taboo. Masturbation is self-knowledge. It is body monitoring. It is prevention. And no, it doesn't have to be every day. You don't have to become an obsession, but you need to be recognized as a legitimate, healthy, and beneficial habit, especially for men who want to take care of the prostate and live with better quality. It is not just pleasure, it is health, prevention, control. And the sooner you incorporate this understanding, the greater the chances of avoiding serious problems in the future. Now, if you have gotten here, tell me one thing. Do you know any of these 5 secrets? Have you ever felt a difference in your intimate health when you spent long periods without ejaculating? Have you noticed improvement in sleep or mood after a well-done masturbation? Without guilt? Without haste? I really want to hear your story. Leave your comment down here. Be honest. Write phrases like, "Now I understand what I was feeling," or, "I have always had doubt about it, but now it makes sense." Your comment can play another man who is silent, afraid, feeling pain, and without the courage to speak. But like everything in life, even healthy habits need balance. And this is the moment when we need to talk with all clarity and responsibility about when masturbation can stop being beneficial and start to become a problem, both emotional and physical. Yes, it can be a powerful ally of prostate health, sexual health, emotional well-being, as we have already shown. But when done in excessive, guilty, hidden from one's consciousness, or used as an emotional escape, it can have negative effects that need to be observed carefully. And it is precisely out of respect for you and your body that I need to warn you about it now. What happens is that many men, especially after the age of 50, end up developing a silent and often conflicting relationship with masturbation. This is because they carry a very heavy emotional baggage, decades of repression, guilt, shame, fear of the judgment of others, or even their own beliefs. And this mixture of emotions can generate a compulsive behavior cycle. The man begins to masturbate not for pleasure, not with genuine desire, but as an exhaust valve for frustration, loneliness, anxiety, boredom, or lack of meaning. And when masturbation becomes this kind of emotional crutch, it begins to negatively interfere with life. There are men who masturbate several times a day, every day, as an unconscious attempt to fill a void. And the worst is that the more they do this without conscience, the more they feel guilt, the more they are judged, and the more they are isolated. It is a vicious cycle. Masturbation, guilt, self-judge, more masturbation, more guilt. And this corrodes self-esteem, driving the person away from the relationship with himself and even compromising his sex life to his partner. Many married men, for example, report falling interest in sexual intercourse precisely because they got used to gaining quick, lonely, and without emotional involvement. And this, over time, directly affects the connection with the partner, generating frustration on both sides. Another important point to observe is when masturbation becomes an automatic, mechanical habit without presence. The man doesn't even realize that he is doing He is just repeating a movement like one who turns on a cigarette or drinking a coffee. And this can generate desensitization. That is, the brain gets used to that stimulus, and over time it demands more intensity to feel pleasure. This can cause difficulty maintaining erections, falling real sexual desire, and even premature or delayed ejaculation problems. And when these symptoms appear, many men think it's a physical problem. They look for a urologist, do exams, and the results give normal. But the origin is behavioral and emotional. Even a very common complaint in the office is, "Doctor, when I'm alone, I can. But with my wife, I break." This is all about this unbalanced relationship with masturbation. When the body gets used to a specific stimulus, such as the hand, a position, a repeated fantasy, it may have difficulty responding to the stimulus of contact with someone else. And that, once again, affects the relationship, confidence, sex life for two. Also, we need to talk about the impact that guilt generates on body and mind. Many men, even mature, still feel dirty for masturbating. They think they are committing a sin, which are weak, that this is not a serious or responsible man. Some feel frustrated right after orgasm, as if they had done something wrong. And this fault generates stress, muscle tension, anxiety, and, in more severe cases, even depressive symptoms. The body feels, the mind suffers, the energy drops, and over time this can generate a complete blockade of sexuality. This is why I insist so much on bringing masturbation to the right place, that of naturalness. Masturbation should not be an obligation or exhaust valve, nor reason of shame. It must be a moment of connection, listening to the body, genuine pleasure made with conscience and balance. No hurry, without guilt, without fear. And if you feel you are going from the limits, if you feel you no longer have control over frequency, you always feel guilty after masturbating or that it is harming your effective relationship or self-esteem. So maybe it's time to seek support. Talking to a sexuality therapist, looking for a trusted urologist, understanding what is behind this behavior. And you see, it doesn't mean you need to stop. It is not about eliminating the masturbation of your life. It is about adjusting the relationship with it. Understand what is behind your will. Recognize whether it is genuine desire or emotional escape. And especially, learning to use this practice as an ally of your physical, mental, and prostate health. Because, as we have already said, equilibrium masturbation brings numerous benefits to prostate health. It helps reduce inflammation, improves pelvic circulation, favors hormonal release, and even reduces the risk of cancer. But, like everything in life, the excess disconnected from purpose can generate the opposite effect. And you know what the biggest problem is? It's just that almost no one speaks. You don't see this kind of conversation in the offices, on television, in groups of friends. It is a theme wrapped in silence. And this silence only increases confusion, shame, fear. That's why this video is so important. That's why this conversation needs to continue. Because perhaps, for the first time, you are listening to a masturbation urologist is not wrong as long as it is done with conscience. That she can help you, and that she can disturb you, if not understood. Now I want to open a space here in the comments for you. And I do it with all respect and confidence because I know what you live is real. Tell me, have you ever felt guilty to masturbate? Have you realized that sometimes you do this more for anxiety than for pleasure? Have you had problems in your relationship because of that? Or have you felt badly emotionally after masturbating? Right down here, you can comment with simple phrases like, "I've been through this," or "Now I understand why I felt that way." Your comment can help other men feel less alone. If you stayed with me here, it is because you really value your intimate health. You want to better understand the operation of your body and is willing to break taboos to live with more quality, energy, and confidence. And so, I invite you now to be part of this growing community. You subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't lose any of the next videos that can literally turn your prostate health and your life. Now tell me one thing, did you get to the end? So comment below the phrase, "I now understand my body better." This simple comment shows that you stayed until the end, that you have learned something new, and still helps me understand that this content made sense to you. I read all the comments and answer whenever possible, so be sure to write, okay? Oh, and if this video helped you in any way, leave the like right now. This strengthens the channel and helps YouTube to show this content to more men who need to listen to these truths. maybe even to someone in your family or from your circle of friends you can't imagine. And most importantly, don't stop here. There is a next video now appearing on your screen. Click on it and continue with me, because in the next content I will show you other simple habits that can protect your prostate, avoid surgery, and maintain your male health even after 60. I find you there.